Welcome to our podcast. The better you are, the better you are. Whether it is physically, mentally, or spiritually, when you know better, you can do better. And when you do better, you'll be better. On this podcast, we share knowledge, expertise, opinions, and experiences. All things that can help you to change the game. By the time we're done, it's hard for you not to be encouraged. So join us. The better you are, the better you are.
And then I know that I like early voting. It just so much helps me. I remember standing in lines trying to get work, and when they opened it up to more earlier options, that really helps me. There's absentee voting, other things that the rules are different for every state. Do you have any comments on any of that?
Well, we could thank our former clerk, Mila Eldridge, for making sure that she took some of the hassle out of voting. And we have the voting centers that you mentioned. I'm going to try real quick and bring it up on my phone before we finish, but she's made it convenient where you don't have to live in a certain area. The one thing that I think they're still working on is making sure the times are consistent at all of the locations, because I know that was something that I felt was voter suppression in Marion County, that they weren't consistently open at all times for some of the reasons that you just stated. You can do the absentee ballot voting, and that's where you just mail it in. And if there's anything happening with your ID, I probably shouldn't say this, but you don't have to worry about that because you're mailing it in. But you do have to make sure that it is postmarked and dated accordingly, because then that would be a vote that wouldn't be counted. I do anticipate that we're going to have a lot of challenges as it relates to voting. I've been a part of, being an inspector and some things in the past, but I'm just anticipating that because of the climate that we're in, that there's going to be a lot of challenge with votes. So it's just a better position to vote early. Spend the day maybe finding people in your lifeline that might need help or a ride, or we've done Souls to the Polls in the past. I think your church has been a part of that, where we help people get downtown and vote on Sundays, and they kind of have a reception, if you will, to make sure it's easy and without any hassle that the churches get in and get out. They park up front. So all of those things will be working. If we come up with a service or system where individuals need rides, because we've done that as well, I'll make sure that I get that information to you. We're still working on that, because I know some of the unions are going to volunteer, but it has not been solidified. So I don't want to give the information out prematurely, but I'll make sure that you have it.
Awesome. Well, let's get to the 4 African American delegates and the mayors. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. I'm going to start with the mayors. Angie Nielsen Dilch is the mayor of Michigan City, another trailblazing African American woman. We have Sharon Tucker. We have Stephanie Terry, and of course, my mayor, Deb Whitfield, who made history right here in Lawrence. And so I got a chance to meet I didn't meet personally Stephanie, but I met and had conversations with all of the mayors during the DNC, and they all made history together. And it was interesting to hear some of the things that they're working on and just trying to continue to burst ceilings in their, direct communities. And Mayor Whitfield has done some incredible things here in Lawrence. And so it's great to witness it up close and have access to her and watch the community change and look like the people that live in this community. And to be in leadership positions. Like I stated, I'm the chair of the Utility Service Board, first time in history. African American woman is the chair of the Utility Service Board. I served on the board a few terms as the vice chair, but now I'm the chair. So that's really exciting for me personally.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that, and I know that road has not been easy for any of you. I know Deb Whitfield. I know her husband unfortunately passed away suddenly, unexpectedly. You think things are devastating for you, but then look at the impact of keep moving forward and what can I do for the community. I think that's awesome. So tell us then, you talked a little bit about the convention, the day-to-day activities, because we saw the things at night, the big meetings and stuff, but What does a delegate do at the convention?
So at the convention, what your responsibility to do is to cast your vote for the presumptuous presidential candidate, which in our case was Kamala Harris. Which it was a complete privilege and honor to do that. There are lots of special occasions and events that you attend. You may listen to down the ballot folks. You had Jennifer McCormick, I don't want to forget her, who's running for governor, and she was doing some fundraising and she was talking about what her platform is for breakfast. I kind of all over the place, sorry. We would have a person that would speak to us and talk to us about, if they were running for office. We had Deb, let's say not Deb, Dr. Valerie McCray, who's also running for U.S. Senate. All of those people that perhaps are running for office might be our breakfast speaker. We had the DNC chair, Jamie, I'm forgetting his last name, but he spoke at one of our breakfasts. And so they would talk about the business at hand. They may talk about their platform. They may talk about an event that they were hosting or co-hosting throughout the conference or convention. That would be the start of our day. We would head over and attend the caucuses. And as you attended the caucuses, you would pick, I pretty much stuck with the women during the convention. It was a treat every single day to be a part of it. And you would have some history. You'd have the opportunity to network. And inside of those caucuses, you might have a panel of maybe the NAACP and what's on their agenda. If you chose, you might go to a panel where they might be talking about employment, or they may be talking about energy. It's a array of things that they might discuss during the day. You will have lunch on your own. In addition to that, there was an expo where you could have the opportunity to go to vendor booths who might have things for sale that are related to the convention, or books that are related to politics. It was a number of things. And it was, of course, free giveaways and things like that that were always in that space. Then you could spend time in the general area. You could go back to your hotel and just take a rest if you chose to do that. And then we would all head over to the United Center, and that's where all the action was. And I would say that each night was very impactful. It was a lot of anticipation. My niece, who is 33, of course, she watched a little bit because I was there, but she never sat and watched. And she said, "Hey, Tracy, I was just really, really glued to the TV every night." And she said that whoever planned it did such a great job of touching on all aspects. Me as a young person, it was topics and people in front of me that I wanted to hear what they had to say. And I would say that was the overall goal. It was multi-generational. And I think that at the national level, we could take away a lot of key points for us to incorporate here, because we have these silos of, this group, that group, this age. And that was just a multi-generational event that everyone really could sit and participate and enjoy. Another high point for me was I walked straight into Martin Luther King Jr. the third.
Wow.
I literally walked into him and I was like, "Oh my gosh, excuse me," because, I was just going. And he said, "No, no, how you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing great." And he was so warm and personal. And I said, "I'm just so proud of the work that you're doing, and particularly your baby girl." He said, "Would you keep us in your prayers?" And it was just so, the whole thing was just like that. It was really an amazing experience. And when I was running, I was trying to get to the floor because Georgia had a Soul Train line after Lil John. Lil John had came out. They say obviously he got the MVP of introducing his state, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was like your niece. There was a genuine energy about it, and it was directed so many different ways. It wasn't just one demographic that they were trying to touch, and I appreciated the effort and the detail that they seemed to go into to make. I thought it was a great convention as well, but I wasn't there, and I could see the excitement, and my daughter would send me pictures, and and I know she was very excited to be there as well. So, you said you wanted to talk about Shirley Chisholm. What would you like to expound on with that?
Well, I just kind of almost forgot, and I should not have, that she was the first candidate. And at one of the caucuses, they played an incredible piece when she talked about just the challenges that she had faced. And they thought it was sort of ridiculous that she was running. And you may know the history because the word was there was no way she could win, but she was doing it for much bigger reasons, as we know today, and that it will still have a impact to help Kamala to realize
Mm,
presidency. So that was just kind of it. It was just, how you're in the moment of something. And I was just like, oh my gosh, we wouldn't be here had that not
mm-hmm,
happened, because you
mm-hmm.
have to always have a first. So that's kind of what I was going to say. I just didn't realize, because I was a lot younger when I was exposed to her, what all she had to experience uh, to just be a candidate in that climate. So
You're so
that's,
you're so right. People who are different for whatever reason, women of color, women, the intersectionality of it, like who do you think you are to think that you could presume to occupy this space? And while that was more overtly expressed back then, it
Mhm,
still are some things that we as women of color, people of different backgrounds or for whatever reason have to deal with and decide if we're going to accept that or
mhm,
persevere. And we know that people have persevered in behind us that allowed
mhm,
us to be where we are now. And in my one of the reasons I vote is because I owe it to my future children and future children above that, so that they have those opportunities as well. And it's there are people who would try to keep things the same and not
mhm,
change and not allow different people of
mhm,
gender or race or whatever background that we want it
mhm,
to look like this. We want to keep it this way.
mhm.
And they'll go to different details to try and make it stay that way. But there's people like you who are getting out there. And so, once again, tell us you said it's important to run for office for some young person out there who says, well, maybe I want to do that. How do you recommend what should they do to sort of get involved and get out there and start?
Yeah, I think just depending on their age, there are a lot of opportunities in the community. There's opportunities in their school if they are of the age of government class and econ class. I believe that's still a part of the curriculum. That's a platform to just understand the levels of government. I think that city council in your school is a great place to explore if you have an interest in serving in public office. If you're in college, then there are a number of clubs that are structured similar to government. I would say to kind of get your feet wet there. There's places on social media. I would like to emphasize trusting places where you can get good
Mm,
information. Um, and I think you can also reach out for opportunities to serve as pages if you're in high school with your elected official offices. You'll get an up close and personal. I know that through our Congress office, there is a opportunity to have a term or a semester in Washington, D.C. to serve. And those are opportunities that you can determine if this is the path that you want to travel. You can also do some of the things that we've mentioned already, which are the Indiana Democratic African American Caucus, which is referred to as IDAC. That's one opportunity. And you don't have to join these things. You can just go and visit and kind of get a feel for what's happening in those organizations. We have the NAACP, they meet in my building twice a month, which is the Julia Carson Government Center. And I'll be happy to get that information to you. Within all of these organizations, there are committees. I serve as a volunteer for the education aspect of the NAACP because that's a passion that I have. And what happens inside of that particular committee, if someone's having some challenges at school, oftentimes we speak in jargons when we're in certain circles and it's above the parent's head. And so the NAACP Education Committee will step in and serve as an advocate and make sure that the parent knows and has good representation of what is happening with their child. Some of the challenges I think we face as African Americans, they are quick to put labels on our children. And there may or may not be evidence or research to support that, and they're pushed in that direction. I know that the NAACP has championed being a advocate so that that does not happen. So those are some of the things top of mind. You can become a part of your community, which is through volunteering. I think if I don't say enough about volunteering, I volunteer a lot and it's opened a tremendous amount of doors for me. So don't underestimate volunteering. If you serve in the capacity of an elected person, the precinct committee person is the person that's kind of at that first step of service in an elected official capacity. I would encourage that. The Democratic Club meetings that happen throughout the year, I would encourage people to just explore being a part of some of those organizations to determine if you want to take it to the next level. You can go to city council meetings and listen and learn. And don't forget to call and ask for coffee, ask for a meeting, say these things are important. You know, if you did or didn't vote for them, that's really not the case. They're a public servant. And say, you know, I'd like to be a part of something, or this is an ideal that I have, or this bothered me, or why did you vote this way or that way? That's exactly, you know, what public service is all about. And we need each other. And I can't say that enough, because you may have an ideal that the elected official doesn't have, but they could certainly use it to advance or improve or enhance our community in one way or another. And just don't forget that you're a taxpayer, and how that really folds into every aspect of voting and your representation. It was a famous slogan, taxation without representation. So we don't want that to become, you know, the narrative for, you know, being taxpayers.
Right. And being subjected to things that we feel like we have no input in. So, well, I can't thank you enough. What else? Is there anything we missed or anything else you want to talk about? You've been awesome. I think it's encouraging for people of all ages, but I'm excited that you're encouraging people with ways to volunteer and get out there and get involved so we can see more people like you being involved and being at our national conventions and help guide our communities.
I think that we touched on everything. You touched on the history, and that was, I was thinking about, you know, how we could make it make sense. I think we touched on everything. I appreciate you having me. I've been super excited about today. And so I hope to see you back maybe in January.
Yes, we'll have to revisit this and continue to encourage people and start making an impact across our communities and across the nation. So awesome.
Thank you. IndyVoters, .in.gov is where people can go check up on their voting status online. There's a number of options that people have, but that's one that comes to mind. I think it's Vote 411. You can use that as well just to check your status. Those are easy places that if you've moved, changed your name, changed your gender, or gotten married, that you would have to make sure that you've got your voting record updated.
And as you say, there's QR codes. I know our pastor puts it up on the screen every Sunday.
Sunday.
And you can do a QR code. Something else I wanted to say. Oh, you can check your local regions for times of voting, where you go to vote. You know, the early voting certainly has been a blessing for me, that I can go after work on a day when I'm not too busy, or on a half day when I have it, as opposed to I used to early on that Tuesday morning get up and stand in line and get to work late and all types of things. So this has really been very helpful for me. People in college can do absentee voting.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. So yeah.
I do want to give a plug to the Indiana Indy Dems. It's the Indiana Democratic headquarters. They need volunteers in the worst way to return phone calls, envelope stuffing, canvassing. Um, they will help with your parking if you decide to come downtown because their office is located downtown. We have several races that are contestant. They encourage you to do 2-hour shifts Monday through Friday, 9 to 6:30, 2 4 hours and 6. If you decide you want to do more, they're going to be very appreciative of that. And when you do the phone banking, just for information's sake, you will use your own personal phone, but you'll have to use an app to just kind of for your own safety that no one will have your information. So I don't want to forget to share that out because I told them that I would. Volunteer is really.
What's that app again, please?
Oh, I didn't have the app, but they just said
Oh.
that you will use an app when you do the phone calling
Oh, okay.
to protect your personal information. And it's Indiana Voters. If I said Indiana, it's indianavoters.in.gov. And I'm going to send all this to you so you'll have it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you. We thank you. I'm blessed to have you on today and to share this knowledge. Knowledge is power. That's what I tell people. Knowledge is power. We're sharing some knowledge and hopefully making an impact across our city, our state, and our country. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening in today. Weren't you inspired, encouraged, and uplifted? We hope so, because we're praying the best for you. Join us again next time for more betterment, because the better you are, the better you are.